reason. All right, I don't know what's going on here with this. The signal was perfect. I had it up for the last hour. Now it's like, duh. All right. I don't know what's going on here. Oh. You got the audio turned off now?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show, which hopefully will not be buffering. I don't know what was. Just so everybody knows, I set the show up on everything. Usually around 6 o'clock or 6:30, and I check the signals. It was perfectly fine. Joe gets on, and then all of a sudden, the signal just out of nowhere decides to drop. Not that it has anything to do with Joe. It's just the gods are not smiling at us.
It probably does have something to do with me, because maybe it may have something to do with my totally worthless and useless Bluetooth headphones, which I tried to adjust and tried to make work before we hit the airwaves tonight. But of course, they don't work. And Mrs. Rayo and I are not speaking to each other because we had a big fight last night about this. So that's why you don't see her on the chat board either tonight.
Now that the whole world knows.
The whole world needs to know everything. So
yes, it does. Okay, so let's focus on. But I made a mistake yesterday, Joe. When I looked at the likes, I was looking at an old my YouTube video menu, which I had up since the day before, and I hadn't refreshed it. So when I refreshed it, and then someone else also pointed it out in the comments, we had 157 likes in total. So our streak, I went back and counted. We've had 65 consecutive shows with 100 likes or more. So let's do a nice show. This way we can make this number 66.
Well, we'll stay on until we get the 100. There's admittedly nothing to talk about, so it's going to make that a little more difficult than usual. Justin Vale, the library talk went very well after I made the discovery that I have a pair of useless headphones. Once again, I'm holding it up. Once I disconnected everything and went back to normal, which is what I'm doing right now, the talk went very, very nicely. So technology, Joe, technology.
The Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, and they are getting ready for spring, as you should be too, to get your yard in tip-top shape with topsoil, mulch, and everything you need to make that yard look good. 631-756-1125. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. And the website is omnitruevalue.com. And then also brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst. And their phone number is 631-957-5106. The website is liholidaylighting.com, your complete holiday lighting specialist, meeting all your decorating needs. Or maybe you want to become a holiday decorator when it comes time for the holidays. Give them a call, 631-957-5106. So, you had your library talk yesterday, and it went well, and that's a good thing. Joe Rayo will be monitoring the chat board tonight, as always. So if you have any questions or comments. Oh, should mention, by the way, Timothy Veltman pointed this out to me. So this is National Weather Podcast Month, if you didn't know. And we are being mentioned by Stormfront Freaks, which is a pretty big deal, Joe. They're they're a very, very popular podcast. So Timothy pointed out that we're on their podcast list of must listen to shows, and thank you very much, Stormfront Freaks. If you haven't listened to their podcast, Freaks, isn't that nice?
It's lovely. We're very, very happy to hear that.
Okay, somebody's in a mood. All right, so as you So,
I will tell you this. One of the things I touched upon in my talk yesterday was the fact that there is a cycle, a lunar cycle of 133 years, where, and this is for those folks who believe that the moon does have a say in our long range weather outlooks. After 133 years, the moon is more or less in the same position that it was 133 years ago. And I use this for the Saxby gale of 1869, and whether or not it would cause another significant outbreak of tropical weather in 2002. It really didn't, but it was interesting to see how Hurricane Kyle in 2002 went this way and that way and that way and this way. Probably one of the strangest hurricane paths we've ever seen in recent years. And, you know, if you want to believe that maybe the moon had something to do with that, I don't know. But 133 years. So if you take 2021 and subtract 133 years, Joe, what year does that give you? Or what year do you end up with? 2021 minus 133.
33, what is that? 1898?
No,
1888.
1888.
1888.
Yes.
Oh, the
And we're
blizzard
coming
of
up,
88.
and we're coming up on March 12th, 13th, 14. And people have been talking about, and I've already seen it on the chat board here,
No, it doesn't stop. I've been getting the same
more
messages.
more than a few people saying, "Oh my goodness, by midweek, by mid-month, we may be back in a wintry pattern again." And again, now I'm tossing out that, you know, for all of you snow lovers out there, the fact that maybe lunar circumstances might bode similar to a specific date in 1888.
Well,
And suddenly now people are starting to
since
jabber like,
since we're
radio
talking,
says there may be another blizzard.
but since we're talking about something, I mean, we're talking about something that doesn't just, we always tend to be very self-focused here. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean there couldn't be a big storm someplace else, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, it doesn't
you know, if
necessarily line up that it has to be a storm that's going to be, in the box. It could be a storm that's over the lakes. It could be a storm going up the St. Lawrence River Valley. I know I'm
well,
committing
we'll be looking.
blasphemy here, but what can I tell you?
I'm sure we'll be looking now in the next few minutes at the coming days ahead, taking us up to that wonderful moment in the middle of the month and seeing whether or not there is that possibility. I know on one of the other Facebook pages, and maybe he might even be watching us right now as a lurker, one particular person actually showed us, I think it was the European, or maybe it was the GFS, snow totals as of the 21st of March, if you want to believe that. And it had like crazy numbers like 16 and 18 and 20 inches in
Right?
our area. I mean, where did that come from?
I, you know, I, I don't know, Joe. I'm kind of at a place right now where I just really want this to all end. Let's get into the spring and let's get into some warmer weather. I went to Home Depot earlier this evening. Picked up some rosemary. I got some new pots because I have some basil on my windowsill that I wanted to repot, and I've got my avocado trees that I grew from pits, and they're outside, and I have to bring them inside because it'll be down close to 30 by morning. I want to get to the point where we get kind of past this. I don't know, those 3 weeks in February I think really took a lot out of me. It really out of me.
Well, it was a very tiresome month, and there's always that little bit of a winter mission, if you will, right at this moment in time. This is the winter mission, and maybe things will get started again. The last gasp, so to speak, in the middle part of March, and then again, maybe not.
Right,
Who's to
exactly.
say?
So you know what? By the way, I apologize, folks. We've been fine the last few nights since I moved in here. Everything was fine until 7:30, and then suddenly my signals started going kablooey, and I don't know what the problem is. So hopefully it'll rectify itself in due course, and we can have a decent. You know what? I'm going to try something here. Hang on one second. I'm going to see if I can switch. I'm going to switch. You know what? I'm gambling. I better not. Okay, so a few people are talking about, supposed storm signals. So you know what? Let's do. Let's bring up the teleconnections and see I haven't even looked at these in the last couple of days. So this is all new stuff to me. So we'll look at it fresh right off the bat. And let me bring the map up. So I'm in the chart up. And we're going to start with the Arctic Oscillation. Okay, so the Arctic Oscillation, which at the moment is just shy, it just crashed to below the neutral line. And of course, we talked about this about a week ago that this was going to happen. And this is actually, Joe, going to bring a storm, a developing low across, right across the central part of Florida and out east through the Bahamas and going east-northeast because the blocking signal is so strong. Now that AO, Joe, get this, it's forecast to go almost, some of the members, some of the members, I mean, it shoots up to between 5 and 6 standard deviations from the mean, positive, okay? Very, very sharp rise. And then a very, very sharp fall to around the 15th. So I guess everybody's kind of looking at the sharp fall, still though it's still positive, but it goes from a +6 to +1. So that's a pretty good drop, right around the 15th, 16th. So that's the AO. So I guess everybody's focusing on that crashing AO at the end of the forecast period. So let's look at the North Atlantic Oscillation and see what it has to say. And I mean, it's a little negative right now. It goes slightly positive and then kind of trends toward neutral around the 15th. Okay, so now let's look at the PNA, the Pacific North America pattern. And that is actually forecast to go negative. So I don't know if I'm not. This is not exactly, actually, some of them go actually almost 2 standard deviations negative. If you've got a negative PNA with a negative NAO and a crashing AO, I suppose that would be okay for snow lovers. And the key is going to be the EPO, the East Pacific Oscillation, which we do not have a chart of, but we can figure out what that is just by looking at the maps. And maybe if the EPO is negative, we can make a case for something. But you know what? I'd rather see teleconnections that are a bit better than that. One of the things I did notice on the upper air, Joe, we've got this big blocking high near Iceland, ridging across Greenland to the Davis Strait. That's right now. And of course, that is, as we know, suppressing everything to the south. You can see the upper low that starts off east of Newfoundland, and instead of going a little further east to 50 and 50, it just retrogrades back westward and suppresses the system coming across the south for late this week, and it goes off the coast and goodbye. Then we get our warm up because that trough pulls out, and we stay, we kind of stay in a ridge position into Thursday. So weak system goes on by. The GFS is kind of backed off on this, a sharper trough moving through on Thursday. There's maybe enough of a push to get a front through. The European was trying to make the case that we wouldn't see any kind of frontal passage here until Saturday, and that sort of backed away a bit. The one thing I'm seeing here around mid-month, I mean, you'll see it on the screen there in a minute, Joe. I don't know how you're going to get snow out of this. It's a cold northwest flow. You've got a fire hose in the Atlantic, and there is troughing that hangs back into the southwest. But how much cold air is there going to be with this? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't.
No, everything looks like it's going to be shearing off to our north.
Yeah.
And actually, as we move through the time frame, the anniversary of the blizzard, 13th, 14th, 15th of March, it appears that the ridge is holding fairly strong. In fact, pressures are rising, or heights are rising right along the mid-Atlantic coast. So yeah, there's a question mark. How do you get snow, or how do you get any kind of significant storm out of this when the pressures are so high and when the heights are rising? I don't understand.
Well, the only way I just stopped it here on Sunday, March 14th. So the only way that I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, so you've got this cold jet, but this is not even anything resembling anything major here. This is maybe you want to make a case for a flat wave with colder air. I mean, you will have some colder air coming down in the northern stream, and you've got this sort of west-southwest flow. So maybe if there's a short wave embedded in there somewhere, a weak short wave, that you could wind up with a flat wave and some overrunning precip. That to me is the only way you would get it in something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
because then after that it pulls out. Now you do have a trough overwhelming as you get toward past St. Patrick's Day to St. Joseph's Day to the first day of spring. I mean, it's not exactly an upper pattern that's. I don't. This is not a warm looking upper pattern. On the other hand, it's not. It's not screaming bitter cold, and there's no blocking at all. I mean, there's absolutely no, and I know you don't. I know I've said it many times myself. You don't need blocking to get um, a snow event, but I would like to see a bit more than this. Okay, in my view, I would like to see something a little bit more in the way of a more dynamic look to this, because this is not exactly it's not exactly knocking my socks off.
Well, we'll just have to play it by ear and see how things go over the coming days ahead. But um, we're not even. I mean, these next few days are still going to be unseasonably cold. I know
Yes.
we've been promoting. There's been the promoting of a big warm up, but the big warm up doesn't look like it's going to be heading this way until at the earliest Monday or
Tuesday,
Tuesday next
right.
week.
Tuesday's really the first day. Monday, I wouldn't describe Monday's going to see. You'll see your temperature start to move higher on Monday, but you're going to have to wait for Tuesday to get the 50s, the 50s and 60s, and bring them up close. But I'll pull up the temperature maps because I did set them up. But meanwhile, on the U.S. satellite tonight, you see a big swirl there in the central Rockies. It's about, and also you're seeing energy coming into the Pacific Northwest. And other than that, it's fairly quiet. Hey, did you get any snow flurries today? Because there were some snow showers around this morning. Up,
Did not see any.
yeah, there
I
were a
didn't.
few on Long Island anyway. As far as watches and warnings are concerned, there's not that much here. You got a scattering of winter weather advisories. There's avalanche warnings in northwestern Montana, and what looks like a winter storm. I think that's a winter storm watch up or a winter weather advisory. You know what? Colors are not my strong suit here. They make the color of the winter storm watch and the winter weather advisory so close that I can't tell which one is which. So I'm going to say that these are winter weather advisories, and what's up in Washington State is a winter storm watch. So let's see if I got that right. Nope, I got it backwards. Okay, so it's a winter weather advisory up in northwestern Washington. And in California, we have winter storm. There's one county in northwest California that's under a winter storm watch. Everybody else is under a winter weather advisory. Otherwise, the rest of the country is very quiet. We could look at Alaska, Joe. There's a scattering of advisories and warnings up there. Why don't we do that since we really don't have too much happening? Okay, so what do we got? They make their maps, they have blizzard warnings up. Wiley Post Will Rogers Memorial Airport, Joe, is 25 degrees below zero right now.
Where is this now?
Wiley Post Will Rogers Memorial Airport.
And where?
Right where Alfred Phillips is. He hasn't been on lately. In Wainwright, Alaska.
Wow.
25 degrees
Well, of course,
below
we know that
zero.
we know that well, maybe you don't know, but Will Rogers was a very famous humorist in the 1920s and early 30s, and I think he and Wiley Post, that was who his pilot was. They flew up to Alaska. Maybe it was a promotional tour or something, and sadly the plane crashed and both of them were killed.
Yes.
Um, so I guess that's why they named the airport after both Wiley Post and also Will Rogers. By the way, Joe, have you ever, when you, I'm sure many of you have seen this on the George Washington Bridge, on the tower that serves Manhattan, the Manhattan side of the George Washington Bridge. On the top of that tower, there's like a strobe lamp that flashes
Yeah,
different
I've seen
colors.
that.
That is the Wiley Post Memorial Aviation beacon, which they named after Wiley Post
Oh, that I
soon
didn't know.
after his death. Yeah, and
Oh,
so there you go.
all
That's
right.
a little piece of trivia that you may not have otherwise have found out had you not tuned in tonight.
That's correct. And we leave you with all sorts of pieces along the way. Here's the forecast for Wainwright, Alaska. Widespread blowing snow, mostly sunny. I just
Blowing snow.
right. Widespread blowing snow, mostly sunny.
Oh, blowing.
Uh, yeah, a high near -18. Wind chills at -60. East wind at 35, gusting to 50. Tonight, snow likely mainly after 3 a.m. Widespread blowing snow mainly before 9 p.m. Increasing clouds with a temperature rising to -11 by 5 a.m. Must be a southeast wind. Wind chill values as low as -55. East winds at 30 to 35, decreasing to 25 to 30. Oh, well, talk about easing winds. After midnight, winds could gust as high as 50. Chance of precipitation is 70%. New snow accumulation, less than a half inch possible. All of that for a half an inch, Joe.
Well, we've often said that blizzard conditions don't necessarily have to be, or whiteout conditions don't necessarily have to be associated with heavy amounts of snow. You could have a relatively light snow. Sometimes it's not even snowing at all. Sometimes you have ground blizzards that where the wind picks up on snow that's already on the ground and causes visibilities to become cut and way down. So
Yeah,
there you go.
Alfred, I don't know how you do it. I really don't. Radar tonight is relatively quiet. Just that you can see the swirl, the rotation. That's the short wave that is moving southeastward, and then eventually will drop southward into the Gulf of Mexico. The WPC, we're still at it here. This is through Thursday evening, Joe. WPC has no precip from much of Maine. I'm sorry, a small part of Maine, southern New England, southeastern New England, right down the coastal plain, all the way down into South Georgia and west to about the Appalachians. Not a raindrop, nothing for through 0Z Friday. So I'm guessing that they're thinking that front comes through. Either it doesn't come through or it comes through with very little precip in it. Meanwhile, uh, much needed rain, though, will be occurring over the next 7 days up and down California, particularly along the coast, from San Diego to San Francisco to Los Angeles to San Francisco, and then all the way up the coast to Seattle, with rainfall amounts anywhere from an inch and a quarter to an inch and a half in Southern California, and then you start picking up on the 2 inch and 3 inch plus rainfalls as you run up the coast. But it's relatively narrow because as you go on the other side of the mountains, of course, you can see the precip gets cut way back. Some scattering of heavy precip in the northern Rockies and also in the central Rockies, in the Ohio Valley, the middle Mississippi Valley to the Great Lakes. Looks like anywhere from a half an inch to an inch and a quarter in terms of total precip over the next 7 days. I didn't see any big storms looking at, well, I was looking at all that upper air, with all the upper air stuff, and then taking a look at what the GFS did and what the European did, uh, relatively quiet, really, through at least through next week.
Absolutely. Nothing really, well, as we said at the onset, there's, I was thinking that there might be a shower late in the day next Thursday or Thursday night. Till then, dry as a bone.
Yeah, here's that wave that crosses Florida. So it looks like Saturday is going to be not is going to be a fairly rainy day across Florida, particularly Saturday afternoon into early Sunday morning. And then the low pulls away. Of course, here in the Northeast, you've got this big high coming down. It's chilly air down into the Carolinas, but then the high drops into the mid-Atlantic states. And of course, now we start the process of pulling that trough out. But again, I think it's Tuesday. Get a little warm front that goes by to our north Monday night. Might trigger off a shower. The GFS has some little precip in upstate New York. But after that, Joe, we should warm up fairly nicely. The only issue I think with regards to Tuesday and Wednesday would be right along the coast if there's a sea breeze that develops and that keeps temperatures down. The GFS now, it see now it doesn't now it's having a tough time. The ridge offshore on this latest run, Joe, the front on Thursday gets hung up, and there's another wave that develops and heads for the Great Lakes, and we have to wait for that to come with a front to come through here sometime on Friday. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to play. The European was arguing for the last couple of days that we wouldn't see a frontal passage here until late in the weekend. Then it sort of backed away from that to join the GFS. Now the GFS is backing away. And for snow lovers, if you want to take a look at this, because I happened to check this out. So here we are on the 14th, Joe. Well, we were talking about on the upper air, flat wave comes out. It's got some snow there in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Long Island. Some cold air, but it's marginal. And then that goes away. And then there's another system that comes up around the 17th or so, around St. Patty's Day. Who knows if that's real or not? But you get the idea. I mean, this is what the GFS is doing with that upper air, where it tries to bring cold air in from the north, and maybe you get some kind of little short wave that comes out from the southwest. That's about the most exciting thing that we have to show you tonight.
You would think that after all that we went through in February, that the winter weather and snow lovers would be satisfied, but I guess they never are they?
No, they're not, Joe. It's a horrible winter in their eyes if it's not snowing every single day from November 1st to April 30th. And I could be wrong. They might go. They may think it should start from Columbus Day to Memorial Day.
Well, I know a lot of us had quite enough. It's so nice now with each passing day to see a little more of my lawn reappearing, and I have not seen my lawn in a number of weeks. So I would hate to, but you know what? I used to say that whenever all the snow gets erased, that nature says, "Oh, well, how about one last boom," and and it's all covered up again. So I don't know, but I still want my 1.4 inches for Central Park between now and the end of the
You still
end of
have
the
a
season.
shot. You still have a shot. By the way, I don't know if you saw the New York Times today, but if anybody can get their hands on the New York Times or go to the New York Times website, they had a very good article about the Gulf Stream and how it is, according to some, it has been slowing thanks to a cold pool that's been sitting south of Greenland for quite a long time now. It's actually not just this year, but going back a few years, and that this, how this may or may have impact on weather in the broad sense in the coming decades. So it's just a kind of an interesting article if you want to if want to give that a look. It's in I think it's in today's New York Times.
Okay,
So you should give. I gave it a read. I'm gonna reread it
I
tonight.
stopped I stopped buying the New York Times after the price per day went up to like 25 cents. I used to, Joe, I used to
What
buy the New
year?
York
What
Times.
year was that, Joe?
Well, back in the early 70s, and I used to, and before then in the 60s, I could go down to the candy store and buy a copy of the New York Times, 10 cents. 10 cents for a copy. What does it cost now? $3 per day, or
Oh, I don't know.
what?
I haven't bought a newspaper in like 25 years.
You and I came from the time when the Daily News was like 7 cents, the Times was 10 cents,
I
and
remember.
now it's
I
like
think I
ridiculous.
remember four. I remember 4 cents on the Daily News.
Really,
I think
I
so.
I I and now it costs as much as a gallon of gas
Yeah.
to buy those newspapers. It's
Well, yeah.
crazy.
No, I don't. I read it online. I read papers online. I don't get my hands dirty anymore. Uh,
Yeah,
Matt K. I don't know. Maybe the issue is with YouTube and not with me. He said he couldn't find the live stream on the on my YouTube page, and he closed out of it, going back into it, and then there was no live stream feed until now. I'm not sure what's going on. I suddenly, as soon as I started, just about getting ready to start the show, my signal just kind of plummeted, and I'm not understanding it because I'm sitting right next to my wireless here, and I haven't had any problems since I moved into this area, into this area of my house, so I could be near the signal. But it's one of those weird things that's going on. So let's see if I can find a Briller Jeopardy here. Ah,
I have a brewer here.
oh, you
I
have it.
do.
Yes, you do. Oh, by the way, I
I
do have an EPO here. So hold on a second. Thank you, Timothy Veltman, for posting this. So here we go. I'm going to post this. I'm going to just put it up on the screen. Now, give me a moment here. So this is what the East Pacific Oscillation looks like. So it's kind of, seems to be bouncing around. And I'm thinking, all right, so at the point where it goes negative here is around the 12th, 13th, and 14th, right in there before it goes back to positive and then starts to really go off the wall positive as you get toward the end of March. And this is the European ensemble, East Pacific Oscillation. My guess is that the GFS would probably have a slightly different look to all of this, but I guess if you want something to happen, you're gonna have to have it happen in that small time frame that you get that EPO to go negative to bring down some colder air into the east because it doesn't stay negative for very long.
And
So
that time frame is
around the 14th, 15th, 13th, 14th,
around the
15th.
14th, which amazingly is about the same time as the anniversary of the blizzard of '88.
Yeah,
So
but we're not doing the
we're
blizzard. We're not doing the blizzard of 21. Okay, we're not doing it. I'm putting your foot down. We're not doing it.
all right, all
Okay.
right.
Also, want to acknowledge Robertson Mann hitting super chat tonight. Thank you so much. Really, really do appreciate it. And we're up to 72 likes. So if you'd like to hit the thumbs up button, we would appreciate it greatly. Okay. So anyway, go ahead. Let's do a little Briller Jeopardy here.
I just had a flick, just like for about 1/10 of a second, everything went dark.
I don't.
What's going on here, Joe?
I don't
All
know.
right,
We're having a very strange night here.
all right. Following the Tropic of Capricorn around the world once,
Yeah.
you'd cross how many continents? You go
Um.
around the world once, following the
Okay.
Tropic of
The
Capricorn. How
Tropic
many
of
how many continents
the
would you
the
cross?
the Tropic of Capricorn.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm thinking one, two, three. It's also
Is that your
the
final answer?
yeah. It's also the number of licks to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop. Three.
Three, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Good.
Question
Thank you.
two.
I remembered.
What what are the three westerns to win Best Picture at the Academy Awards?
The three westerns.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to say what was I want to say Dances with Wolves.
Ding.
No. Oh, it's on
No,
there?
you got a ding. Yes.
Dances with Wolves.
Right.
Gee, High Noon got an Oscar for. I don't know if High Noon won for Best Picture though.
Eh.
I didn't think so. Dances. Westerns were never my big thing, so that's not one of my favorite genres. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure when you tell me, I'm gonna go, oh yeah, that's right. You're correct.
One of them is Unforgiven.
Oh, Unforgiven. Yes, that's right. Yes, I forgot. Yes.
And the other one, the third one, or the other one that you did not get, is Cimarron.
Oh, back in 1930.
Didn't
Oh,
they have a TV show?
and,
Didn't
oh,
they have a TV show called Cimarron Strip?
oh, and by the way, let me correct something from last night. The movie
Or the
I
night
was
before?
I mentioned the movie An American with Paris, and my mind kind of got it mixed up. It's the movie I was talking about was The Last Time I Saw Paris with Van Johnson and Elizabeth Taylor, and also Donna Reed, by the way,
Okay.
and Walter Pidgeon. Okay, that's what I was taught. The last time I saw Paris, An American in Paris is with Gene Kelly. Okay, that's a totally different movie. It's a musical. Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to correct that, and thank you. I forgot who it was on the comments on the YouTube video last night that pointed that asked that questioned me on that. So I stand corrected. All right, go ahead. What's the next question?
He came to power 34 days before FDR and left 19 days after him.
He came to power
34 days before FDR
and
and left
left.
19 days after him.
Hmm. FDR. No, well, the war was FDR
And
died
many
in.
years later, I'll give you a weird hint. Many years later, they named the meat tenderizer after him.
Oh, well, I was thinking it was either Hitler or Stalin.
And
So
it
it's
turned out to
obviously
be,
it's right.
yeah.
Or as he was known on Monty Python as Mr. Hilter. But go on.
And the last question for the night. This country contains South America's highest and lowest points.
Highest and lowest points.
Correct.
Okay. Oh boy. Hmm. Um. Does it have the city of Santiago in it? In Santiago, Chile. Da da
Not
da.
Santi.
No.
It is not Santi.
So how about one of the inland countries? I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to say either Colombia or Paraguay.
No.
All right. Well, what was it then?
Argentina.
Oh, Argentina. Okay. So,
Don't
I,
don't cry for me,
Argentina.
Argentina.
Well, the audience is crying now. So, uh, all right. You know what? This will end our streak, I think, tonight because we have less than 100 people on, and things don't seem to be working right tonight. So, let's put an end to this. And of course, hopefully, Stormfront Freaks isn't watching tonight and thinking that this is an example of our regular work because it isn't. Trust us. We're just having a moment here. Okay,
Yes.
we seem to be having a bad day all the way around. Okay,
23 away though from 100, Joe.
you know what, Joe? I'm not going to sit here and wait for to get 100.
Come on, everybody, 23.
We don't even.
Hit that button.
Oh,
Jam it down.
don't scream. We don't even have 100 people watching tonight, for God's sake.
Well, you know,
It's
hey,
up
we're
to,
up to
it's
81.
up to 81.
Yes.
I'm
Come
tired.
on. 19 more. Oh, now somebody took one of them away and we're
Yeah,
back
you
at
know
80.
what?
All right.
Let it go.
All right.
All right, let it
If
go.
that's how you
This,
feel
you
about
know,
this.
the streak ends at 65. Jolton Joe DiMaggio, you know, it's uh, his ended at 56. Ours will end at 65, and let's see if we could start a new one
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I turned 65. I turned 65 this summer. I hope I don't end at 65.
No, cut it out, will you? Stop. All right, folks. So look, no show the next two nights. We'll be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Okay.